Hey guys, you're welcome to Football Gazette podcast. My name is Muyiwa Joshua Hagbola. Well, it's a Manchester United fan today. We've got in the studio Victor.
Yes.
I mean, nice having you, bro.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here in my full glamour, representing the Red Devils, as always now.
Well, the way you're talking with confidence, one would be able to really attribute Manchester United, heel luck to you, presently.
What do you mean ill luck? Excuse me?
Yes, okay. Let's start this way.
Okay.
The 2023-2024 season was more of a disastrous season for Manchester United.
Well, in some sense it was, but it wasn't the worst season ever, by the way.
Okay, of course, I would agree with you. It wasn't the worst season
it's certain
ever.
Arsenal had their best year that very year.
Even without a
in
trophy.
2 decades. And it was trophyless.
Okay.
So Man United as well. I do not think that
it's not even about Arsenal here.
It's not about Arsenal.
Okay, we're talking about Manchester United here.
It's a league.
Oh, okay.
They're competing in the league. And there are people competing as well. We all play 38 games. At the end of the day, some teams fail to qualify for a competition they thought they qualified for already because of me. I made them go back.
But Victor, let's look at it this way. How does it feel last season finishing behind Chelsea, even while you actually was above them for the most part of the season?
Well, I feel fulfilled in the sense that, despite finishing behind them, even they are finishing ahead of me, they don't give them anything.
Well, let's forget about the cup competition now, the qualification.
No, we can't.
Okay, that was the end result. That was the end. That's the goal.
I'm playing the Cup of Champions.
No. Yeah, okay.
And it's a result of me winning the FA Cup that Chelsea so much coveted. But because they didn't have the ability and the capacity to, I delivered on the mandate.
So it's safe to say you had a more successful season
Absolutely.
than Chelsea last year.
In the books of Man United, you end the trophy. You end the season with a trophy. That's a big plus for you.
But I feel that shouldn't mean you should be happy or delighted about Manchester United.
I'm not happy, but you said ill luck. So I stand to correct you.
Okay.
That it wasn't ill luck. It was just one of those seasons.
One of those seasons.
Liverpool suffered for about 7 seasons in the league before they eventually began to, see themselves in the limelight. Even Arsenal,
of course,
before they, started smelling the trophy, they were only looking from a distance.
So a little bit away from the banters now.
No,
let's
not
talk
banters.
Let's talk about your reaction or assessment of Erik ten Hag, especially for last season. Of course, he actually performed below par last season after winning a silverware in his first season. Manchester United fans out there actually expected more.
Definitely.
In the second season.
Definitely.
But then they were actually disappointed.
Yes.
So what was your assessment of that particular season and your reaction to him getting a contract? Although it was at the brink of being laid off.
Yes, definitely.
At some point.
Yes, definitely.
But in some way, somehow, he got himself another 2 years.
I feel like the performance of Erik ten Hag can be likened to a pendulum ball.
Which came quick swinging.
Here and there, unstable. And I feel like the reason why that is because he came with a different mentality. In his former club where he was, doing his managerial work and all that, and came to Man United that was in total disarray. Apart from being in total disarray, he also added to the disarray in the team. Upon, the controversy with Cristiano Ronaldo and telling him that he wasn't part of his strategy and he wasn't going to fit in his game plan. To the point that Cristiano Ronaldo had to leave Manchester United. All this stemmed from the coming of Erik ten Hag to the club. Not forgetting that the existing Glazers issue in the club as well, as a community, not just as a football club, now, but as a community and a family. There's been over the years issues, contention with the management and the coaches and everything. And you must also remember that the exit of Sir Alex Ferguson has left not just a vacuum now. It has left a pit, a very deep pit that will take a very long while to be filled. So I feel like Man United fans, we expected that after, the advent of the likes of Moyes, Van Gaal, Solskjaer, Jose Mourinho, and now Erik ten Hag, whom we believe understood his onions with football coming from Ajax. But unfortunately, the mentality of the players at Ajax is way different from the mentality of the players at Man United. So I would want to say that as Man United fans, we expected that he would come into the team and fit in perfectly. But unfortunately, it's the Premier League.
Yeah,
the best league in the world, the most competitive league in the world, and anything can happen at any time. So I feel like his what's it called now? His ideology, bringing his ideology into the team, was a fantastic one. But the system he met on ground was not just fitting into what he had for the team.
Well, ordinarily, Manchester United fans out there will tell you, okay, probably it was the influx of injuries to players last season was actually a major factor to the negative turnout of the team.
Now.
Yeah, I think it should be a major. That's according to some Manchester United fans.
So, well, I beg to differ.
Okay.
I beg to differ because we've done way better in previous seasons.
So what do you want to attribute that lackluster performance?
Under Jose Mourinho,
okay,
we had worst injury crisis and we won the Europa League. If you remember correctly.
Of course, very well.
I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic was with crutches at that time.
A lot of players, Marcos Rojo and all.
Almost half of the team was injured. Half of our key players were injured at that time. I feel like, apart from the issues Ten Hag has with his system not suiting the players, he has a managerial problem. Now, we saw that evidence in his issue with Jadon Sancho as well.
Man management this time around.
Yes, man management this time around. I mean, apart from managing the players as footballers, you need to have off the pitch management as well. I feel like Ten Hag lacks that so much. In some of his press conferences, we've seen him push off players, set them up for drag sometimes. And I feel like that is something that as a coach, you should not allow.
I think that was even evident in his handling of the Ronaldo's issue as well.
Exactly. I mean, to the point that the player had to leave the club.
Marcus Rashford as well was at that point,
definitely,
due to some parties
as well has been, seen in that same light as well. So I feel like moving into the new season, he needs to jettison all this sort of attitude and just bring himself down. Now, I feel like the management of the club, the Glazers are giving him opportunity now. Prove yourself to us. We're going to give you time.
It's more like he's starting on a clean slate now.
It's more like, okay, continue what you started. We see that you have a system in play. We see that you have a foresight for the team. So we're going to give you this pedestal to deliver on the mandates that you have brought for the team. And I feel like it's a very good one for him. And coming into the next season, I am very sure, except we have injury crisis again, like you mentioned. Because no game saying when your players are injured, I mean, definitely, Lisandro Martinez was injured
for the team, of course.
Almost like 10, 15 games. Lisandro Martinez was absent. Malacia as well was absent. So many players. Anthony Martial was on and off before eventually, and so many other players like that. So I feel like, except we have injury crisis in the new season, and another thing, apart from injury crisis, I must let you know that the mentality of the players as well, there was a lackluster of delivery from Man United players last season.
Especially from the forward line, which was really widely visible.
It was almost as if they were, afraid to attack.
The likes of Rashford were practically playing as though they were being forced.
Let me borrow a language from the Yoruba language. Rashford is pano.
He's really on fire, really.
I mean, I began to ask ourselves questions of, is this not the same Rashford that was blazing hot the previous
season?
Then. Not even back then, not so far away.
The
previous season. Yes, I mean, it's been delivering, and all of a sudden, you can't get 10, 15 goals in a season. We even have the likes of, our midfielders as well.
Anthony proved not to be what the hype after all.
Anthony became a dancer on the pitch of play, losing balls, failing to cut in and shoot like he would normally do, and so many other players.
So, Victor, let's talk about the business now in the summer transfer window. Do you think Manchester United, the board, Jim Ratcliffe, after coming in, do you think they've been able, to a reasonable extent, be attended to the loopholes of these particular players we're talking about? You've only done 2 business all
Unfortunately,
summer.
Just 2. And I'm actually sad. But then, these 2 now, so far, in the last 4 or 5 seasons that I've followed Manchester United closely, their transfer markets now, I've been a fan since 2008, by the way, love the team and love the club since that Champions League final against Chelsea. I don't know if Chelsea fans remember that, but, the Ronaldo and all that.
The guy at the back of the camera does so well.
So, Man United have been known to speculate, monitor. But these 2 players, we just saw them in the news. Man United landed that, Zegzi and, Euro, those 2 players, fantastic signings, one in the
But then now it's even a major setback that one has been laid off now for at least 3 months.
And that's actually very sad. But then,
a bad business for you.
Very terrible business. It's more like a waste of money because you need it for the new season, but unfortunately, it's not going to be starting the season with you. So I feel like for Man United to have signed only 2 players thus far, it means that there weren't so much intentions from the club and the management to actually land players. If by now
we still have just 2 players,
we have only 2 players signed to the club, and unfortunately one of them now is not even going to be beginning the season with you. I feel like there was no intention to actually
even bring
shuffle
new
the team so well. But then we have exits from the club. We have the likes of Jadon Sancho, we have the likes of Mason Greenwood that have left the club totally now. So now my question to Ten Hag, actually, because I'm actually worried for the team come next season, because to compete effectively in the Premier League, you need to have squad depth. Man United lack that at the moment.
Especially now that you would be plying your trade in the Europa League as well.
I mean, there are other competitions coming up that you have to partake in as well, not just the Premier League that right now that we say, okay, we want to focus on. Although Arsenal at the point in time, we're focusing on so many things, eventually focus on
then they lost all.
Still lost even when they were focusing on Arsenal. What's your problem? But then this is not about Arsenal, this is about Man United.
Yeah, this is about Manchester United.
But then it begs the question of, Ten Hag, what is your plan? Because if a certain Marcus Rashford gets injured in the coming season, Man United will suffer. If a certain, Casemiro as well gets injured in the coming season, although a Casemiro as well for me should actually not be our pivotal point of,
because when you take a look at his exploits in the past couple of seasons now, it's really declined.
It's fading away.
It's really declined.
I mean,
no disrespect to him, he's one of the best guys in his position. I mean, the days of Real Madrid, but then he hasn't been able to replicate such feat after his first season at Manchester United.
Like you said.
And I think that boils down to age. Definitely. I mean, take it or leave it. Not all players will be the Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi of this world.
Absolutely.
At some point, age would definitely catch up with you. You begin to decline in your game. So I think that's what we can attribute the downturn in Casemiro's capacity or capability to now.
Definitely.
Not that, okay, this particular player isn't really up to what we know him. He's really a top-notch guy when it comes to playing in the middle of the park. But then I think it's just high time Manchester United let him go. Don't you think so?
I think, instead of even letting him go, we might probably not let him go because we have a certain Thiago Alcantara. That was at Liverpool one time. And he wasn't really starting games. We had a certain Fabinho as well at a point in time. They weren't really the starters.
Starting game, but occupying space.
Occupying spaces, yes, occupying spaces, but then coming in to substitute for when there was need for experience and some top-level footballing in games. But for Man United, it's more like we are depending on Casemiro to be the front line in the defense line, and just hold the defense in the midfield right there. But then he can't deliver at that level anymore. Like you said, at Real Madrid, he had the likes of Luka Modric and Toni Kroos surrounding him.
Who still covers his losses.
Those ones are ball-playing footballers. Even in their dreams, they can deliver passes and make tackles. For Casemiro, he needs a system that enables him to thrive. We have a certain Kobe Mino who didn't really get much playing time until much later in the season, last season. But then you have the likes of Scott McTominay, almost non-effective in the midfield for Man United as well. Manages to score goals in games that we need goals, but then not doing his job in the midfield. My question now for Ten Hag is, what is your plan for the midfield in the coming season?
I mean, we haven't seen anything yet. Just like you said, no recruitment, nothing. We've only seen one defender and one attacker.
For me,
one of them is even off.
He's off right now.
It's looking as though Manchester United might be set to have another lackluster of a season. See, the thing is, I'm not actually saying this to actually taunt Manchester United fans out there, but I think you shouldn't be calm about the coming season.
We can't be calm, but then we can't spend our money for Man United.
of course. So that will lead us into talking about your expectations for the coming season. It's more like everyone is starting all over again.
I mean,
0-0.
Clean
Even
slate.
the Arsenal of this world, everyone back to 0.
Arsenal. I go so far.
When they count Arsenal fans.
Chelsea has been signing goalkeepers, all around. Doing
Chelsea now another talk for another day. Now talk for another day with Chelsea.
Okay,
Let's just talk about Manchester United. What is the expectation for the coming season now?
For me,
yes, you're the sole representative.
I go into the season with zero expectations, so that I don't get disappointed. Because truth be told, I looked forward to the transfer market so much, expected so much because of the the so-called reports from our so-called scouting agents and the shuffling of the cabinet, the whole being coming to the same table with the Glazers, having discussions and all, the club being sold out, another management and everything. But it's more like
it's just quite unfortunate. The more you do, the less you see.
It's more like someone just took over and it's like, okay, I like the way this place is now. Let's keep using it for now.
For now.
So I feel like even the club management that has taken over right now are still trying to weigh their odds. They're trying to weigh their options and see what do we need to do. I feel like maybe in the middle of the season, by that time, maybe after 10, 15 games, there'll be an understanding of, okay, this is what Ten Hag is doing. This is what the club can do in 3-4 years, because the taking over of the club is not going to be a short-term thing. It's a very long-term business. So they're going to look at the prospects of the players. When you take over a place like that, it's usually unwise for you to just do a total overhauling of the whole thing. You need to understand what is in play right now when you are taking over. So you're trying to look at the players, the coach, the system, the tactics, everything that you need to make sure the business that you're taking over is going to thrive. So I feel like that's what the new management is doing right now, just to see how it plays out. Let's see how far we can go with what we have right now and get to understand if we need to invest and pump in more money.
But any chances of winning a trophy at the end of the season?
Well, before the season begins officially, we have the Community Shield against Manchester City.
Yeah, we're even going to come to that.
Which is up for the taking. So that's one trophy up for the taking.
Okay.
We are also going to be in contention for the Premier League. Okay. I mean, anybody can win the Premier League at this point.
For now, at this
point.
At
this point, everybody's on 0 points.
Yeah,
we're going to start the season the same way. Everybody's going to go into the season. I mean, we're even starting off the season.
The FA.
The FA as well.
Carabao Cup.
Taking the Carabao Cup. We have
too much to
also have the Europa League as well. I mean, unlike Chelsea can boast of, so many trophies up for the taking.
Chelsea fans out there, I mean, I'm very sure they are marking your face as it is right
now. It's fine, it's fine. I'll be here all season.
We no longer guarantee your safety after beyond this studio, actually. Victor, at the later part of last season, we saw this heavy waterfall at Old Trafford, and we haven't really seen in the news now efforts being made to actually correct that. Do you think we can actually start the season, although the reigning season is about declining now? Do you think it's for a team like Manchester United of such magnitude?
Talking about the leakages in the roof.
I think as a Manchester United fan, the confidence you actually came into here isn't.
I'm living with the same confidence, by the way.
Okay.
Nothing spoils my steez.
But then I think Manchester United at some point, due to previous seasons, recent previous seasons, should have actually reduced.
No, we know the panic. No. The Premier League is a long journey. No Manchester United fan panics. We don't.
Really?
100%.
Okay.
Well, Chelsea fans can't say the same.
We'll see about that when the season starts all over again.
But then talking about the roof issue and the rain and everything, I feel like the management will actually do something about it. If not before the season starts, I'm sure they have already. Probably it's probably not just in the news, because it's not in news, by the way. It's just a maintenance issue. It's just a glitch. It's not something so serious. For me, in my own books, by the way.
So as it be like this now still won't get Rashford for our team next season.
I mean, Rashford is a phenomenal player. In the past 4 or 5 seasons, he's been the highest goal scorer for the team.
But you couldn't talk about him like that last season.
Yes, because if a player fails to deliver, he needs to be beaten. He needs to be put on the strokes. He needs to be chastised.
So you think all of that have actually been done now?
For me, I feel like he has come to a point, close to the end of the season, he gave out some statements on how he was disappointed in himself and how he didn't perform for the club and all that. So I feel like moving into the new season, they've had time to rest, they've had time to, recuperate and all that. Away from the Euros as well, England getting out on time. He didn't even really get playing time in the Euros as well. So I feel like he's had enough time to sit back, rest his head, and re-strategize for the new season. It's the same Premier League that you've been playing before, that you scored 20 plus goals. You can still do it again. For me, Russia will do better in the coming season.
Manchester United fans to the hope.
No hope.
Something about Manchester United fans is, they tend to lose this confidence in them. But then the same thing can be said of them while in the viewing center. We've seen several clips of Manchester United fans. All right, football fans out there, that's the beat we will be able to take on today's edition and installment of the Football Gazette podcast. Until some other time, when we'll get back here to do this once again, to stay good and safe. Peace out.
Bye.